And welcome back to the Cinema Cornerman podcast with your host, the beautiful J. Mara.
Hello.
And myself, Jacob. J. Mara, what are we reviewing today?
Today we are reviewing The Magnificent Seven.
The Magnificent Seven. Yes. An interesting movie. As usual, go watch it before you listen to this. There will be spoilers throughout. This is your warning.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. This movie was directed by Antoine Fuqua. He did the Equalizer. He's done Olympus Has Fallen, Training Day.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Uh-huh.
I love that movie.
That's the director, yep. And yeah, I guess with that, we're gonna jump straight into the themes and takeaways and go into the goods and bads, and then at the end we'll do our rating. So
changing it up.
Yeah. Give a little more context as to why we rated stuff beforehand. So Jimbo, what is your theme for this?
The only thing that I took away from this movie was revenge is sweet.
I like that. Yeah, revenge is sweet. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I didn't write anything down for this. Like you said, the revenge was the thing that I thought of right off the bat, and yeah, I guess like a group of people coming together to help people in need would be the other thing, the other takeaway, I guess, the other theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the good, what do you have for the good?
Well, they're a group of bad people doing a good thing.
They're
But
not all
a
bad.
bad thing for good people.
Yeah. They're not all bad.
They were like...
Some of them were bad.
Hunted.
Some of them were bad, but some weren't. So for your good, what you got?
So I liked the movie. I think the best part about the movie that I loved was the characters. So I really loved the main character, Chisolm.
Mm-hmm.
Chisolm. I think his character, you got to know more of his character as the movie went on, which is something that I really like because everything was, it was new. So especially at the end when they're in the church and you kind of find out why he was actually helping them. Like it wasn't just for himself.
Sure, yeah.
So I really liked his character.
Yeah, they had a lot of good arcs, the characters did, which was nice. Something I don't necessarily think I'd expect out of a movie like this, so that was nice.
Yeah, and it wasn't just one. Like it was a
They
few
all
characters.
pretty much, yeah.
That was interesting because they're all individual, but great.
Right. Yep, that was good. I liked the action in this movie. The action was very good. Anytime they were shooting or anything like that, it felt like they were the best parts of the movie.
I agree.
Like it was chaotic enough to keep it like interesting throughout, but then coherent enough to like stay understandable and keep our interest throughout. I liked it.
The action was probably my favorite part too. There are so many.
It was very well done.
Yeah.
Like every single one was very well done. Anything? What else do you have? What do you like?
Oh, most of the stuff that I loved were specific scenes.
Oh, okay.
So I have like 4 scenes that I just love. So
I forgot to pick out a favorite scene for this, so I'm sure one of yours will be one of mine as well.
Yeah.
Other things that I liked about this movie, like the setup and the execution of the final plan, I thought was a great touch. Like I like when movies like take us through the thought process of characters, like during the setup, and then we get to see if they're actually able to pull it off or not. And most of the time, it feels real like sort of like phony. Like they all sit in front of a blackboard and like write out, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go this way, and then everything always goes wrong. And it wasn't like that in this movie. This felt much more authentic, which I liked. So it was just like great execution, I thought, of like a simple concept.
Tactic on how to defeat them.
Like how they were walking up the road and they're like, we're gonna have guys over here. They'll funnel them in here. We're gonna all that. I like that.
That was cool.
Yeah. It was, like I said, just a simple like concept that they executed perfectly. I liked it.
To see it actually happen.
Right.
Afterwards, they didn't just tell us about it
Exactly.
and then forget. Like we saw every single one.
What they were planning.
Right.
Like, so it did surprise us with a little bit of the stuff. Like a lot of the like explosions and stuff. It didn't like we're gonna have an explosion right here. Like it didn't go
with the alcohol bottle.
It didn't go too far in depth, but it set everything up to where it didn't feel like they were just like, oh yeah, we're losing. Let's make this thing explode. Like it did feel like they set it up, which I liked. And then the last thing I had was just the soundtrack. The soundtrack. It just felt good. The best parts were whenever it went for that authentic Western style, like with trumpets and everything. I did like it. It felt like it contributed to it.
I didn't really love the soundtrack. Maybe, but
yeah, I didn't love it.
That's okay.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't love it, but it was.
I think it fit.
Yeah, it fit.
It definitely fit.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's all I had for the good though.
Okay, so my favorite scenes, I have about 4. So my first favorite scene was when they first introduced Chisolm, and he walks into the bar, right? Okay, he stands in front of the door, he walks in, and he murders the bartender. Like, that whole scene.
Or collects the bounty, but yes.
Oh, right, the bounty. But that whole scene, and then how, like, Josh is just sitting there, like, helping him out, but they don't even know each other. Yeah. Just the whole thing. I love that scene. That was a really good one. Another one that I loved was the standoff. So he got all the 7, they came back to town, and then the what is his name? Bartholomew? I don't know. The bad guy. When all his men were standing there and they all stand off, but they're in like tactical places. Yeah. That scene right
as
before
soon as you said standoff, I knew exactly.
Yeah,
because they were both. That was a good one.
Yeah, because they're both like tough guys, and they're like, I love that scene. Also, that was the first time you saw Goodnight. The guy, how he was like scared to use his gun. Yeah. And I liked that. Like, I liked them not saying it, kind of like showing us first, and then kind of we find out, right. And then my next one was when Josh, he was like getting shot the whole time trying to get to that gun, the machine gun. What is it called? I don't remember what it was called.
The Gatling gun.
Yeah, the Gatling gun. And then he like acts like he's dead, and he's like, I keep saying that. Whoops, whatever. But he has like the dynamite, and like he blows everybody up. I thought, because like I didn't know that was gonna happen.
I didn't know either.
I thought he was dead. Like he got shot so many times, and then all of a sudden he pops up with dynamite and just blows the whole thing up. I thought that was a really good scene, just because it was unexpected. And then my last favorite was when Emma, it was at the end when Chisolm is about to kill the bad guy, the Bartholomew guy, and then Emma comes in right before Bartholomew is gonna shoot Chisolm, and she just shoots him dead, and then she walks out of the church. I like that scene, just because like this all started with her. Like the first scene is her and her husband. Her husband dies. She's like, I want revenge. And then she's actually the one that kills him. I think it just like ties the whole thing together.
That was a good scene.
I think she was the one that was supposed to kill him. I think she was meant to. And I'm glad that they actually made her.
I do wish Chisolm was the one that killed him. But it does make sense that she did, but it also makes sense that Chisolm it basically happened to him earlier on.
Right, first.
So it would have been cool if either one is good.
But it was her story.
Sure, yes.
So I just love that. Yeah. But yeah, those are my 4 favorite scenes.
Yeah. None of those were my favorite. My favorite, I realized, was whenever they had Goodnight actually like shoot the mannequins. Whenever he like goaded them into it.
That was a good scene, because I didn't know what was gonna happen.
It could have gone either way.
Like he could have just been a horrible shot, or he could have did what he did and just bullseye every time.
I had a feeling he would. He had there's a reason he had the credentials that he had. Like there's a reason everybody knew who he was. Right. So I had a feeling he could. I just didn't know if he would.
Yeah.
Which I liked it.
Yeah. There's a lot of great scenes in this movie.
Yeah, there were a couple good ones. Like I said, it was mostly the action that I liked. Any action scene. Yeah, on to the bad. Would you like to start, or would you like me to?
I think the only bad that I had was I don't really like Western movies. So I wasn't particularly thrilled to watch this movie. And I think that statement stands even after watching this movie. I don't know, I'm just not a Western movie type of person. But the only other thing would be, to me, I loved the action, but like those were the highs. So the highs were high, but the lows were low. Like in the parts where there wasn't action, I was like, I was waiting for the next action kind of thing. So that's the only bad that I had.
Yeah, going off your first comment with the Western movie, that I think the reason you didn't like this one is because I think this is like a terrible Western movie.
Oh.
This is when it comes to Western movies and what they are, it's almost like a parody of a Western movie throughout it.
Yeah.
But the rest of the movie itself is not a parody, right? It's like a serious movie.
Right.
So the two things don't go together. It's almost like the person has never actually seen a Western movie. They're like, I know this is in a Western movie. I know this is the general concept. So, then they just went off that. And I'm sure they did their research, right? I'm not I'm not as vain as to think they did. That's just how I felt the movie was. And the concept for the movie itself is like not new, like at all. And when I say that, it's literally been done many times now. Like I think there's like 3 or 4 other Magnificent Seven movies with the exact same plot. And the first one that I found was the Seven Samurai, which is like the same thing in the samurai. Like with samurais, basically they go to this town, stop a bunch of thugs, or I should say the townspeople like hire 7 people. Those 7 people help the townspeople kill bandits, and they save the day.
I mean, it's just a remake.
Right, yeah. So there was the samurai one, and then
supposed to be the same.
Yeah, which was in like Japan, and then the Magnificent Seven they remade the Seven Samurai with the Western. I would have liked if this movie went somewhere else with it, is what I was getting at. So like maybe if it was like modern times or like a fantasy or like future movie.
Well, that's what I would change.
Right, exactly. It wouldn't be a Western.
Change. Yeah, it'd be a normal movie.
Exactly. I think it would have been a lot better for that. Antoine Fuqua, he's like a great action movie person, right? Like I loved Olympus Has Fallen.
Yeah.
I want to see The Equalizer. I've heard nothing but good things. But this movie, it didn't feel like it hit the mark for anything that a Western movie needed to be for me. Like his directing style fits those movies perfectly, but it just didn't fit this movie for me. Yeah. So the reason I keep saying that is because like a lot of the Western like tropes were like cliches in this movie, and they didn't really like hit very well. Like everything was like, especially like a lot of the characters and stuff. You had like, the bounty hunter. You had the gambler. Those are like common like tropes, and they were just that in this movie. That's all. That's all I didn't really like about it.
I don't watch many Westerns, so I wouldn't.
Right, yeah.
No.
Yeah. It just felt like a fantasy Western land, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I had. That was the only thing that kind of threw me off for the whole movie.
Yeah.
Was that one.
Like, I loved it, but I wish it was not a Western.
Not a Western. It would have been so much better like a modern or like a future or something. Yeah. Or a anything.
Just overall, like, of course, some of the Western scenes, like going into the saloon and stuff like that, like I like those scenes. But overall, I think I would have just been more into it on the lows if it was normal.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, exactly. I agree completely. Yeah, that's all I got. What would you rate this movie, Jamal?
The Magnificent Seven. I rated a 7.
A 7.
Did I do that on purpose? You'll never know. Yeah, it's a 7 for me. Because, like I said, it was a good movie. And the highs, I loved them. But overall, it gave me, it was 7. I liked it.
That's fair.
I don't know if I'd watch it again. Maybe in a couple years. But it was okay.
I wish I would have given it a 7 now. Because that fits right in. I didn't even think about it. I gave it a 6. A 6 out of 10. That's why I gave it. Overall, it just felt like a cookie cutter action movie that was set in a stereotypical Western genre. and I was not a fan.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that's all we got.
That's all we've got.
You should go watch it. Not a bad movie.
I would say watch it. This
Yeah.
isn't a bad movie. I would watch it. Like, I would recommend that you watch it because you will laugh and you will most likely be into it.
Mm-hmm.
Just, the lows are a little low.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Thanks for listening, y'all. We'll see you next week.